Let's get it. We live. Atlanta, Georgia.
Today I will be talking to everyone about the most iconic bands during the 70s, the Eagles. You may or may not know the Eagles. If you do, you might know one of their songs, or you may have heard it sometime at some place. And it's Hotel California, one of their most famous songs, a lot of conspiracies behind it, but that's not the point. The Eagles really took off in the 70s and are still touring today, and that alone shows the relevancy to this day. The Eagles are an iconic band and were inducted into the Hall of Fame January of 1998. So I'm going to be talking about the beginning of the band and who's all in it at this point, not during the whole beginning of the band. So the two founders, Glenn Frey and Don Henley, these two met both in El Troubadour, a bar where any of the big bands or upcoming bands or artists were playing at, and that's where they met each other. And they played in a band together but that wasn't the Eagles. So on the road to building up their success, Don Felder came into the picture, Joe Walsh, and Timothy Schmidt, singer, guitar. So those three also played a huge role in bringing them to where they are today. The music making process. So Glenn and Don both lived together in an apartment, and they learned from a guy named James Brown, not the famous singer. And they would listen to him and his music process and how he went through the trials and errors of making his music, and just really learn from him so they could adjust their music and really pursue and just build the beautiful band that they have today. So that's that. On the road to the peak in your success, there's always troubles, and it's always a climb. So this is what I'm going to be talking about. Their best songs: Hotel California, Take It Easy, Take Me to the Limit, which was their first #1 single on the top 100 chart, and their debut album was in 1972, which was called The Eagles by the Eagles, and it was produced in London, and that's where they really all just came together and made one of their best, or at least one of the greatest albums of that time. So their time on the top lasted for about 4 years, from about 1972 to 1976, and a really good time of success and accomplishments. Every band is not perfect, there's always flaws, someone doesn't like someone, so there was always going to be a breakup at some point. So they broke up around the end of the peak, was 1977, maybe at the end of the decade. And they ended up getting back together a few times in the 90s, and a few reunion tours. And that's about the time where they became inducted to the Hall of Fame, as I said prior to all of this. So what they do today is they tour around America and go overseas, and just really give their music as they did in the 70s to the audience that they had before. So these are all the members that have been in the band at some point in time. Glenn Frey has passed away, unfortunately. R.I.P. to the great, one. And his son actually plays for them while they go on tour, so I think that's pretty cool. So just a little recap. We talked about the beginning of the band, their peak on top, and how they, made their music and their success. Talked about their breakup and, all the trials and errors that they went through, and how they're still here today performing and, just giving their fans the music that they love.